Probably 12, 13 years ago, I'm driving in LA and I hear our friend Colin Cowherd on the radio.
Yeah.
And he said a line to me, I'm going to repeat to you, that gave me like, oh my God, like just a very awkward feeling. The line was something of the following of college football analysts have the hardest job in television because you've got to say 250 smart things in 15 seconds or less in a 3.5 hour window. And I thought, oh my God, how can and I'd been doing it for about 5 years at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, full anxiety. Like, how do you ever do that? Right. And then you settle into it and you do another season, you do another season. You never really think about that in the game. But I think when you zoom out, you're like, whoa, that craft is a craft, right? That is not just going up and knocking out a podcast. Like, you make this look easy. It's not easy, but it's probably way easier than doing a broadcast, like doing a college football game. To that point, how do you approach your craft? Like, as a fellow analyst, I'm curious, like, how you approach your week, how you navigate what a game is like what your lens is as you walk into a booth every Saturday.
I think it's a constant evolution, and I am always learning from guys I hear on air, and I am always asking questions like this to people. So I'd love to hear yours after this as well. I think the way the week is structured, to me, like a lot of it, because we do radio, because you do the podcast, like because you're on with us, and because you want to recap, a lot of early in the week, Sunday, Monday, is looking back. What happened over the weekend, a little bit of looking forward, and it gets easier the later in the season, to be honest, because you've been looking back at so many of these teams that you see all the time. And then once, sort of Monday after our Monday show hits, that's when I start looking forward to our game. And it really starts with, the first thing I do is pop on the last game. You just turn it on, you watch it. You don't really know. Sometimes, especially early in the season with the transfer portal, you don't really know a lot about how these teams look, week one, week two. And so you're just kind of getting a feel for the teams. And then around, Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, you start to dig into the players and their backgrounds, because that's when I get my boards. And so that's when I sit down with my boards, start to look at the players. That's around the time we'll have visitors, coaches meetings. So you'll have, I don't know, 50% of the visiting team done. You get the coaches meetings done. Then you go back and you sort of check. All right, I learned this. I didn't really see that on film. Let me go back and check why they, do this on third downs or whatever. So a lot of Tuesday leading up to the visiting coaches calls is a visiting team with a little bit of familiarity with the home team. After visiting coaches, you're diving into the home team full go, because by Friday, by the time you meet with the home coaches, I mean, you're like 90% for both teams, and this is just the cherry on top. Which is why, in an ideal world, you would meet with both teams on Friday and you would meet with them in person. A lot of that depends on your travel and your crew's travel, but. And then going into the games, I kind of use Friday as situational stuff. Did I miss anything on third downs? Did I miss anything in the red zone? Did I miss anything, any special situations? Did I miss a special teams play? Because sometimes you're watching so much offense, defense. Sometimes I forget, like, oh man, I got to watch special teams film with the cut-ups that we have. So did I miss anything special teams wise? And then by Saturday, hopefully everything's in the bar. And sometimes I leave some stuff. We have a late game, especially like we had Colorado at 10:15 Eastern a couple of times. I'll go crazy just sitting in the room, and I can't stay in the hotel gym all day. I can't hike all day. So I'll leave some stuff to do, just like, writing some third down stuff or situational stuff, big throws like you taught me, which I started to track. I'll write some of that stuff on my board. And then when you get to the game, man, like, so much of what we do prepping going into it, you don't even look at during the game, because, it's sort of in your head. And then there's so much filtering that goes on. What's important at the time? Our producer, Kim Belton, says, scratch where it itches. So, I may have this great nugget that I've thought was going to be a big factor in the game all week long. And then it just turns out it's not. Maybe, a red zone defense, let's Notre Dame was great in the red zone all year long. If they had a game where, the team doesn't get in the red zone, well, that nugget's gone. And then if the, Penn State gets in the red zone one time, they score. Okay, it's worth a mention, but it's probably not worth harping on and having the 3 graphics that we had built on it. So I think so much of it is just, it's really filtering everything that you have over the course of the week, everything that you dive into, what's important, what's not, and then just moving on and being okay with that. And a lot of the environment, I think, speaks for itself. So learning when not to talk, I think it's a big thing too.